that on myself, cause it's a life that I done chose. Way I'm moving, I don't see him in a way. Way they talking, I'm not hearing what they say. Got some bands and I bought myself a place. They get a couple and they blow it in a day. But I ain't built like that. They done said my time is up, but it still ain't passed. I done heard what they say, but it feel like cap. Yeah, I took a couple shots, but I'm still intact. Yeah.
As the competition, but if you go against me, you the opposition. But if you wanna test to look like you can close the distance, I'ma give it A forever since you so.
Up world, people in Ohio, Africa, North Pole, wherever you're at, thanks for tuning in to our final episode of the OH.Report video podcast. That's right, the holiday season, it is certainly here, and as we take a look outside, it's definitely beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Oh, the gig is up.
The snow is tumbling down outside of OH.Report World Headquarters here in downtown Mansfield, so snuggle up, get on your comfy socks, stay inside tonight, and hang out with us. I'm Brian Skronsky, your host, and Travis Barty is here with me tonight, sipping on a little something over there, having a good time. And Trav, we're just 1 week away from Christmas. That's crazy to think about. Right? Only 2 weeks away from a new year. So, you know, we're trying to get on the nice list, trying to get in some resolutions, I guess. Is that something that you do? Are you a resolution kind of guy?
No. Because people, when they do resolutions, they try and do it for like a month or two, and then they just drop it because they're lazy. I just try to be a better person in the new year. That's all I try. Try work hard.
There's a lot of room for improvement there.
Thanks
so
a lot, bud.
You got.
Seems like you need to work on it too.
Nice. Hey, Rob, I'm gonna do my best this year, but I don't really do resolutions per se, but I do the dry January, which is no booze for me for an entire
Especially
month.
after, I mean, what you have Thanksgiving, it starts it off. Then you go to all these holiday parties you have, like trips to Cleveland over the weekend and stuff, which was amazing. Thank you guys once again for hosting that, Brian and Jory. And then, I mean, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. I know when you go back to Colorado, you go on a little crawl with your cousins. Then you got New Year's Eve and New Year's Day too. Right. So you need time off to get your body back into shape. So it's a good idea.
And I think especially too, because I noticed when I cut out like the holiday beers, it really is what kind of has the calories packing up. With the bad diet that I eat when I'm over at grandma's and mom's house,
Zach just turned 21.
It's just a whole collection of
bad
things for
when I get back. Yeah, that was when we were up in Cleveland.
It's a good time to take that month. And
the 23rd, when I get home, I got to take him out.
My football team's not normally in the playoffs
before he heads to Paris.
I don't know how I'm going to respond if the Browns obviously get into the postseason.
I honestly think you need like one more win. It was
Saturday. One more, and I think we're in there.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that coming up here in just a little bit with Lucas Wickiser, the writer of the Clee-Bus. He's going to be joining us to talk about, all the ups and downs, the roller coaster ride that was at First Energy, or I don't think it's called that anymore, just at Brown Stadium yesterday against the Bears. Travis and I also are going to tell you what we've learned about high school basketball and our local team so far up to this point. And we'll also break down who we feel are the top 5 best Christmas characters from movies all time. So that's definitely going to be a tough one.
It's going to be a fun one.
And then Travis and I are both actually going to make some Monday Night Football bets tonight. We're 0 so far, or at least Yinz Bets hasn't really gone so well. But Trav, outside of that, how are you doing with the sports gambling? Because it's been here for almost an entire calendar year. Monday Night Football has not been your friend, but are you at least doing okay outside of that?
Well, last I checked, I was in the plus, because you can go on to you can go onto the betting sites and it shows you how much you bet, how much you've won, things like that. But I do say we got off to a good start up in Cleveland. We all put a first field goal bet down on Mr. Donovan Mitchell. He scores, like, oh yeah, good bucket, and then we noticed like a couple seconds later, our whole line of fans, our whole section just started jumping up and down. We won! We want people looking at us like we're weird, but hey, we cashed in. We cashed in Yinz Bets for once. Woo! So yeah, I can't wait to see if I'm gonna just get back on our losing streak or whatever. But we'll see. I can see if it's... Who was it that mistaken him up in Cleveland on Saturday? Was that Adam? He's like, I think Jake Furr's here because it looked like just like him.
You gave it away. I was trying to make it a big surprise, but hey, since we already know cat's out the bag, or maybe the Yeti, award-winning journalist Jake Furr. What's up, brother?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Good, man. Hey, evidently you got a lot of doppelgangers out there. You were mistaken for a couple of people up in the city this past weekend. Did you get that a lot?
I'll take it. Usually it's Joel Batonio that I get mistaken for, so I'll take it. That's
yeah,
fine.
No doubt about it, man. Well, hey, I got a note. Named Sports Writer of the Year not once but twice now in your career. So you're defending the crown like as we speak. So is there like a little bit more pressure to like keep putting out bangers, like diving into the thesaurus and making sure you're getting some like exceptional quotes, because you got to keep doing it over and over, right?
I mean, that's the goal in anything you do. You do it 100%, do your best, want to be the best, drive to be the best. So, of course, I'm always trying to up the ante of whatever I do, and I always want to do everything I write. I want it to be the absolute best. So that's just a desire that I have, and something that was instilled in me as a kid. So no pressure, really. I mean, the state is kind of full of really, really good sports writers all over the place. I'm really good friends with all of them. So, but I think it's just trying to live up to the legacy of John Spencer and Rob McCurdy, who were here before me.
A little bit of space. CityKnocksItDown.net is the place to be. Davis and Easy. And you mentioned that you're friends with a lot of these guys. What about rivalries? Okay, say you go see one of our local teams going up against a team from outside the area, and there's another good writer out there. Does that bring anything to you in terms of like, hey, I better write like a better article than so and so?
Not really. Just because I think we all have a job to do, and we kind of help each other do our job because of the state of print media and kind of the written media world now, where it's just kind of, it's died so much that there's not very many of us out there anymore. But you always want to be first. You always want to get the story up first. You always want to be better, better than anybody, better than what you did before. So there's always that competition does drive me a little bit, but there's nothing like I just kind of want to knock anybody out by any means.
I think me and Travis were kind of low-key hoping that there was like a little Mortal Kombat below the surface type of thing where you guys are just going at it, like with the rivalries and the writing.
Because apparently we have people that think they're rivals with us.
People try to come at us all the time, Jake, and we're ready for it, man. We're ready to finish them if we have to, but we try to keep it cool as well when we can. Speaking of cool, though, just read an article that you put out not that long ago about the shakeup that's coming in tournament boys and girls basketball. So what can you tell us about the changes and what's ahead for us in terms of these like super sectionals?
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. The Northwest District, usually in girls basketball in Division II, the Northwest District usually had 3 representatives come out of that Northwest District. So we'd send 3 teams to regionals.
Yes, that's mine.
This year they kind of condensed it into 2. And I think it's mostly because we have 31 teams now in the Northwest District in Division II. And to kind of put 3 in there, I mean, you're looking at like 10 teams per bracket. It's just kind of really small. And we've had teams move out of Division II, like Willard dropped to Division III, Galleon's down to Division III now. Upper Sandusky was kind of on that teeter spot there. So, yeah, I mean, now it's kind of crazy because now, like, Ontario and Shelby and Lexington, Mansfield Senior, they're going to be playing teams from Toledo with Central Catholic. Toledo Scott, Toledo Woodward, all is going to come in there. Vermilion, Perkins. So it's kind of it's almost like a regional bracket in itself. It's huge. It's a lot of teams. There's 16 teams in it.
Shelby boys.
But it's great competition. It's going to be a really fun district tournament. But it's not going to be as easy of a road as if it was just down to like, Lex and Mansfield Senior, Norwalk, Ontario, Bellevue, Shelby, and all those. It's a lot smaller. You know those teams very well. You don't play any of these other teams from Millbury Lake or the Toledo squad, so there's not going to be much film to be able to watch on those. So it's going to be interesting just to see how they do things. That's in girls basketball. Then in boys, kind of the biggest change is just Norwalk and Sandusky are out of that district. Tiffin Columbian comes in, but the site of that district is going to be kind of up in the air until that tournament starts. Last year they had it at Ashland, and it was, I don't know if you were there, but there was no room.
There was no room. We were sitting at some school desks up in the bleachers.
Yeah, people were just kind of standing all along the baseline, all along the sideline. There was no room for them. Doug Ute was actually there. The OHSA commissioner was there at that one, and he was kind of standing behind me, and he's like, "Jake, this isn't going to happen anymore. Like, this is his area. He graduated from Clear Fork, so he kind of this is his baby down here. So he's like, this isn't going to happen. So now it's going to be between one of 4 sites. So the number 1 site will be Mansfield Senior. Number 2 will be Ontario. 3 will be Lexington. 4 will be Galion. And it just depends on what team is not in the district tournament is where that game will be hosted. So say if Mansfield Senior gets knocked off early, then it'll be there as the number 1 option. If they're playing and Ontario's out, it'll be there as the number 2 option, and so on and so on. So, there's some big changes coming, especially on that girls' side, and then the boys' side. It'll be fun to have that district tournament close by and stuff. So it'll be cool.
You're right. It's almost like a regional for the girls. There's a lot of teams, a big collection of talent from a big chunk of the state there. And at Ashland, that was just a little bit of a small venue for Division II. I think we knew that. It was fun. It felt old school, kind of like the 1990s when you would see standing room only. But as my producer pointed out, the celebration, kids are literally, you're about to see it, like sliding into tables. There was just a little bit too maximum capacity here. Boom. Boom, taking out tables. Like it was a pretty wild scene, and look, even the poor camera guy, he's got to fight for his life just to get out of there. But you mentioned Doug Ute was there. He's a local guy. He kind of seen it and helped make this determination. As far as you know, how does OHSAA go about evaluating this stuff? Who are they talking to? Why do they make these choices to do what they've done? Because we've seen in the past, like with the football playoff expansion and other things, just because a group or a committee says one thing doesn't mean OHSAA is going to do what the greater good of the people want. So as far as what you know, how do they land on some of these decisions?
So mostly with like the district tournaments and stuff like that, that's up to the actual district. So like I think the state split up into, I want to say 7 different districts. We have the Northwest District, which we're all involved in here. So that, like the sites of the tournament is all up to them. So the OHSAA has nothing to do with like sectional and district and all that stuff. When it gets to regional, then that's where they step in, regional and state. So, but I think he saw the problem that Ashland was with just the capacity. There's nothing wrong with the gym itself. It's a great venue, great school, great place. Just didn't have enough seating for the big matchups that we had, the local matchups. So I think Doug actually saw that and then kind of went to the Northwest District and said, "Hey guys, we got to figure something else out. This didn't work. We kind of lost an opportunity here too because we could have packed even a bigger gym." But yeah, most of those decisions as far as sectional and district level is all in the district places themselves. So the OHSAA doesn't really have much of a say in those at all until something like that happens, and Doug's kind of like pushing like, "Hey boys, we need to figure something else out here."
And actually, you put out 2 really good articles. Another one, I guess, is a Christmas present that could be for everyone in the state of Ohio. OHSAA thinking about expanding divisions in high school basketball. Just take me through all of that. Are we going to get a private school? Is Richmond Heights going to be off by itself with some other private schools? Is that going to be a division? Or are we just going to go to 7, 6, 5? What do we have coming up here with this?
So it's going to be for the sports that have that implement competitive balance. So like basketball, volleyball, um, baseball, softball, soccer, kind of all those sports that have competitive balance as implemented in those. So that's where they're going to start. But just for solely basketball purposes, since we're in that season right now, it sounds like we're going to go to 7 divisions, and it's kind of gonna. It'll be a lot like how football is formatted, where Division One is a lot smaller of a division, but it's going to have those kind of gigantic schools. We have, like 64 huge schools in the state of Ohio, and those will be in Division One. So they'll kind of split Division One in half. And I think they're going to go back down to Division Three and split that in half because there is a lot of disparity from the biggest school to the smallest. But it's going to end up being 7 divisions, I'm pretty sure. And you can kind of look at how football is divided and where you're at in football, and that you're almost going to be guaranteed to be in that spot. There's a lot more schools that play basketball in Ohio, so there's 800 of them right now that signed up for this season compared to I think there's 720 in football. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you're looking at almost 80 more schools. So it's going to be kind of weird how you put things together. But in my column that I wrote, I just kind of looked at what other states do, and how creative they are, and kind of the differences in what they do compared to us. And the OHSA has a really, really good opportunity here to really implement a lot of change, and they can get as creative as they want. And if we're really talking about competitive balance, then this is another way to do that. So I don't know how they're going to go. The only thing I've heard is that it's likely going to be 7 divisions, but they're going to kind of wait. They're going to have a big meeting in January with all kinds of coaches and sport administrators and stuff like that. They're going to get the information that they want from those people and kind of move forward from there. I think they're expecting to say something in March of how they're going to do things. They talked about 5 divisions, and that would fix the D1 problem, but it wouldn't fix the problem throughout the board. They talked about 6, and I think they feel the same way, that it just wouldn't quite fix everything. So 7, I think, is kind of the magic number.
And would that change anything with the competitive balance numbers, things like that? Will the rules change with all these sports having more divisions, or what? Has that been broken down yet?
I don't think that's been discussed just yet. I think that's something they're going to hammer out, but it's still going to be competitive balance with the numbers, and they're just going to have different cutoffs for each division. So, it could, likely, I could see like Madison, and boys, and I think girls basketball I think girls is still 2, but boys basketball, they're still Division 1. I could see them being put into the same district as, like a Lexington and Mansfield Senior. Mansfield Senior actually has Division 1 numbers, but because of the competitive balance movement in there, they got knocked down to 2 while other teams moved up to 1. So, I think we're going to see more localized situations here. Doug mentioned something about when you're in a district, you want to see teams that you would actually be in a conference with. So like Lexington wouldn't be in the same conference as like a Mason down in Cincinnati because they have more than 1,000 more kids, not 1,000 more boys and 1,000 more girls to even choose from. So I think that's kind of what they're going to really look at, and they're going to hammer that out. And I think they're going to do a really good job because the Coaches Association is actually the people that wanted this. They sent out a survey to all their coaches, and the coaches are like, yeah, this is something that we want. So it's coming from them. It's not the OHSA making this big decision. It's the coaches that are saying, hey, let's look at this, and then let's work together to figure something out.
And in your article, you bring up a really intriguing concept. Indiana. They have a different way of determining where teams play the next year, and you even bring up Richmond Heights of the world. Like, they won a D4 title here, then they move up to D3. If they can win the D3, they move up to D2. Just explain that a little bit more and how that could work in Ohio.
Yeah, it's actually really cool how they do it in Indiana. They give schools points for each championship. So say they don't have a sectional, they have a district, and they have regional and state, because they have less teams than us. So, you know, they don't need all those levels, but they get so many points for a district, regional, state semifinal, and state final. If you get 6 points during that stretch, then you move up. I think it's on a 2-year. They do a 2-year success thing formula here. So, you know, then you move up. If you're in D4, then you move up to D3. If you're 3, you move it up to 2. And you know, if you're a team that was in 4, moved up to 3, then the next year you get more than 6 more points, then you move up to 2. So you're going to be playing like you're a Division 4 team playing against Division 2. And, you know, I use Richmond Heights as kind of that example, just because they've won the last, 2 state championships. They haven't really even been tested in D4.
They beat D1 teams.
I think, yeah, they're beating D1 teams during the season. So it would benefit them to kind of see that bigger competition. And it would also open things up in D4, you know, as we create that competitive balance, open things up in D4 for some other teams. So I think there is a huge opportunity to kind of explore every option. I think they will.
Yeah, it's really interesting you mentioned that. And then in football, we saw the exact same thing. Toledo Central Catholic wins D2 last year. They dropped down D3. Crush it. Duh. Makes sense. Same exact thing with Marion Local. They win a smaller division. They win a bigger division, somehow move down, and then they win that. So basketball, I think, could learn a little something from that and take on some of what Indiana is trying to give us. And that's the true basketball state. So if you're going to take orders or, you know, look at some lessons from any place, how about the birthplace of the sport, all right, where Naismith is from and all that? I'm with it, Jake. But as far as our own backyard, nobody covers it better than you. I got to give you all the props for the Richland County and knowing, like, the hierarchy, who's good, who's kind of struggling this season. So I'm going to have you narrow it down real quick, though. Give me your top 2 boys teams and your top 2 girls teams in the area. And this doesn't mean for the whole season, of course, where we just got like a little fraction of it. But heading into the Christmas season, who's the best of the best right now?
Man, for girls teams, there's really kind of 3 that have separated themselves from everybody else. Mansfield Senior, man, they look so impressive. I got to catch them against Clear Fork, and they won by 25. Something I didn't really expect to happen, but man, they are looking really good. I think last week they had 5 players scoring double figures, you know, kind of throughout the week. They did suffer a loss to Perkins on the road on a Tuesday night, so you know that's kind of concerning a little bit. It was about a 9-point loss, so you know we'll see how they bounce back from that. But you know, then it's Clear Fork and Shelby after that, and they play tomorrow night, so I'm excited for that. And that'll kind of tell us a lot about where both those teams are. They're going to be battling for first place in the MOAC, so you know you got to be excited about those 2 teams. And then in boys, man, it's so tough. You can't really pick 2, honestly. There's so many good teams.
That's the game here, Jake. You just gave me 3 for girls, man. So no more bending the rules here. I need just 2 boys teams.
Follow the rules. Santa's watching.
Can I go big school, small school?
Oh, geez.
Can I give you 2 from each? No, but I mean, it's Lexington, Shelby. Those 2 teams are at the top. Lex looked really, really good against Mansfield Senior. You know, they went in and got a 25-point win in Pete Henry Gymnasium. That's something that probably hasn't happened in a very, very long time. But Lex is the real deal. They're playing a different style now, and I really like how they're getting up and down the court. You know, they're kind of their weakness in years past has been the point guard position, and guard play in general. And they are stock full of guards right now. Seven Allen has made a huge difference. Braden Fogel is. You know, he's averaging a double-double right now, and he's playing huge. And then Shelby, I mean, whenever you have the best player on the court at any given time in Alex Prescotter, you have a chance to win. They have probably maybe the best starting 5 in Richland County. They're kind of stacked from top to bottom. Then if I can throw out some small school guys, you know, Crestview and Lucas are both undefeated. Both of them are really, really good. You know, Crestview is the real deal this year. I think they have a really legit shot at a D3 district championship for the first time since like the 40s. So, and Lucas, you know, I think they can win a D4 district title. That thing is wide open too. So, got to give a shout out to the small schools. I'm a small school guy, so I got to give a shout out to those.
Yeah, represent. He only doubled it. That's all for boys. So we got 4, but at least there's a lot that have come out of the gates hot, though. So you're right. Yeah. If you ask me, like, who the 2 best teams were, I'm copping out 2. And I'm going to say something very similar to that because record-wise, how do you count out the Lucas Cubs? Like, with that track record and what they've been able to do and me just knocking over sets, and hopefully this guy's still all intact. But that's how excited I am about just like the Cubs, what the Cougars are doing, and then how do you overlook, you know, maybe
Mansfield Christian?
a Mr. Ohio nominee. I don't know the Mansfield Christians in the top 2 in Richland County right now.
Top
but
three.
I seen them with my own eyes the other night. That they were pretty good. But we're going to get to them when me and Travis break down the rest of the hoops area here in a second, Jake. But we do appreciate you spending some time with us here today. And,
real quick. Yeah, we're going to talk about this down the line. But Jake, your favorite Christmas movie character?
Ooh, oh man, favorite Christmas movie character. I don't know if have you seen Christmas Chronicles?
Yes.
Just had it on this weekend.
The little girl, I can't remember what her name is. I just watched the movie, but the little girl in that is just, she epitomizes what I think of Christmas and just the excitement of everything and the love of the season. So that's probably my favorite.
I love it.
Darby Camp's her name, and
there you go. Yeah.
Kate, yeah.
Little girl kills it. Oh, Kate. Kate's the character's name.
Nice.
All right, Jake Furr with the Mansfield News Journal. Here's his latest article. Make sure that you give it a read. Follow him on the Twitter. He's one of the best in the game, at Jake Furr. You anywhere else?
That's it, man. Just give me there.
Oh, the Facebook, too. Jake Furr, sports reporter on the Facebook. So, yeah, man, I'm sure that we'll be seeing you at a game real soon, buddy. Have a good night.
Merry Christmas, buddy.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Always cool to get a talk with like a real-life Bigfoot during the Christmas season, isn't it? Like, really cool.
I honestly thought we saw him up in Cleveland. It was crazy. He looked just like him.
Or
maybe it was Joe Batonio.
Ooh.
You know? I don't know.
Maybe.
Hey. Good guy, though. Love Jake. Great guy.
Yeah, obviously he gave us some great insight as to like what's going on in Richland County and who some of the top teams are from the squads that he's seen so far, Travis. So I'm going to go first. I'm going to tell you what I've learned so far about high school basketball in this area, okay? And I got that recency bias going on, so I'm going to begin with the very last gym that I was in, the last thing that I seen. Okay. And I'm going to tell you about Mansfield Christian boys basketball because this team, with Amar the Star Davis running the point guard out there, they got a nice collection of seniors. And these 2 freshmen that they brought in, this is a very exciting unit that I think could be a favorite to maybe dethrone Lucas in that Mid-Buckeye Conference. Mentioned those solid veterans, but the freshmen, man, they were the 2 difference makers. They both came off the bench. I don't know that's always going to be the case. I think it was just because they were taking on Crestline, wanted to get some of those guys that don't normally get a ton of minutes into the game early. But Dre Martin and Davion Mack combined for 3 dunks versus the Bulldogs. Here comes the best of the game. Just check this out.
Oh.
How many freshmen do that on the break? So Mansfield Christian, very exciting team. Okay. But the competition in the NBC, we all know where it runs, and that's through the Cub Cave.
Absolutely.
All right? You don't win that league if you can't take down the Lucas Cubs, and no one has been able to do that all season. They're 6-0. They beat Mohawk on opening night, and then they have throttled everybody since. Logan Toms, Aiden Culler, Hunter Church. I mean, they got all the pieces to win it. Again, we know that. And plus the coaching staff. Ice and his guys, that whole gang out there, they ooze confidence, or at least their style of play. So those 2 teams, far and away the top 2 in the Mid-Buckeye Conference, but I think it's going to be the best race that we've had in a long time in that league, Trav.
I do not disagree with you on that. I get to see Mansfield Christian at the Castle here coming up in a week's time, so I really get to see what Amar the Star and his 2 freshman friends have to say, but the championship still goes to Lucas. As Ric Flair said, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo! So until Mansfield Christian beats Lucas, Lucas is still the front runner right there, but MCS this year, hey, they can make some noise. All right, how about the Northern 10 Conference? I think it's very, very complicated. All right, Travis, you ready to begin the show? Here. I don't know what to make of it. There's obviously some very good teams up at the top, and it's gonna play itself out eventually. But I think that there's like 5-6 contenders in this league, Travis. So you look at this is a great conference every year.
Cary and Crawford, 3-0 in the league. They're going to play on Friday, so there's going to be a new front runner, if you will, in the league. But Winford, Seneca East, and Mohawk, they're all 2-1 right now. And then you look at the teams that haven't won a league game yet. Upper, Buckeye Central, Bucyrus, they all have just one win, but I feel like all these teams are pretty decent. There's not like a real Leech or bottom feeder. Upper Sandusky especially. They seem to me like a team that might be able to figure it out here eventually. Bucyrus has a very exciting player too. So I just think that this is going to be one of those cases where it's going to have to come down to the final couple of weeks. There's going to be some big-time matchups at the end of the season, and who was ever playing hot at the time or wins a big game early on in the campaign, going to get that dub.
Yeah, it's going to come down to which team doesn't get, I don't even say if it'd be an upset, but one of those teams that don't have one, maybe it would be Cyrus, maybe an Upper Sandusky, somebody that can't take care of business when they need to from the top, because like you said, it could be so balanced from top to bottom. I wouldn't be surprised if those top 3-4 teams kind of hand each other maybe a loss or two up there, but it may come down to who comes through the bottom half of that conference clean will win the conference championship.
And then over on the ladies' side, I feel like this one is very fluid too, kind of top heavier, if you will, than the boys. I think that the best teams in the league have kind of identified themselves already. As you look at Crawford and Cary, both haven't lost. Winford, just the 1 L so far. And the 3-time defending league champ Buckeye Central and Upper, who finished 1-2 in the league last year, they're both over right now in Northern 10 Conference play. So the league's kind of really flipped upside on its head. And those Winford Royals, basically all freshmen, a bunch of babies running around out there.
We saw them.
And they're just crushing it out of the gate. 6-1 so far. Crawford's already played 9 games and have won them all. So are they really the team to beat in the league, or is it going to be a Cary or a Winford? It's very complicated.
This is going to come down to, can these freshmen keep it up throughout the whole regular season? Do they, lose? Do they tire down a little bit towards the end of the year? Especially, like you said, Crawford played 9 games already before Christmas. That might help them out because they'll get a little bit more break during the second half of the season. But if these two teams can continue to play the way they are throughout the regular season, they're your front runners. But then you have a Cary, you have a Mohawk that are more veteran, upperclassmen squads. Can they, pull off those victories on the back end of the schedule and slip in to be a number 1 or a number 2. But this is, like I said, Northern 10, very competitive conference here once again.
Both the boys and the girls, 5 of the 8 teams within 1 game of each other in the league standings. It's early. It's early, man. So we're not jumping to any conclusions yet.
But they've been impressive so far.
I just feel like at the end of the year, these things are not going to be decided until very, very late. All right, Trav, what have you seen? What do you know?
First off, the team that has the highest upside is the Loudonville Lady Redbirds and Corey Vermelia. Here's the stat for you. How often do you see somebody get a triple-double?
I think I've only seen it once, and I think it was Renee Stimpert.
Well, guess what? You haven't heard this. Against Medina Buckeye, Vermelia had a quadruple-double.
Stop it.
She had a quadruple-double. It's 26 points, 19 boards, 10 assists, 10 steals.
Wow. What?
The D3 Player of the Year. Yeah, I know it's against a winless Medina Buckeye squad, and before people say, oh, they don't play anybody, Tyler Bates actually, they worked out of contracts for the second game against a couple teams in the MBC to play better squads. It's a down year so far for Medina Buckeye, but with what they have and what Corey Vermelia, I have never heard of a quadruple-double.
No.
Anywhere.
Nope.
That's got to be national newsworthy right there, what she was able to do. She only did it in 3 quarters, too. Yeah, that's the team.
Logic,
this is a team that I can see if they don't, if they don't stumble through the tournament, if they stay out of foul trouble, the balance they have. Her sister Maya's averaging about 20 points per game. Sophia Spangler's still back. Jennick Williams can shoot as well. This is a team that can go to Dayton. This could be Tyler Bates. This is Tyler Bates' best season to do that. But I think they have what it takes to be at least one of the best 4 teams when we get to Dayton in mid-March, early March, mid-March, whatever it is. But yeah, Loudonville, that's my first team. They are by far, I think, our best squad in North Central Ohio. That's any division. I think they can play a D2 squad and compete with them. Things like that. I'd love to see them play Shelby.
Quadruple double in 3
right?
quarters.
Yeah, that's. I looked at that and said that's got to be.
Is that true?
A typo. No, 26, 19, 10, and 10. It's she is phenomenal. And that's numbers that will put her once again in the running for Miss Ohio for basketball. She's got a good chance of doing it this year. That's my first. Loudonville, yes. Now let's go to the boys' side, and you knew I had this team on my list. It's the Northmore Golden Knights. What they were able to do against Centerburg. Now, Centerburg had 2 really tough losses to a Mount Vernon squad that's going to be competing in the OCC, and then a Granville squad that's probably going to play for a district championship as well. But Northmore won a game that they hadn't the last couple of years. They were down 5 in the fourth quarter without Jack Swinger, their best scorer.
Right.
And they're able to go on a 5. That was a 5-0 possession. Drew Hammond got the and one, missed the free throw. Their lone miss in the fourth quarter. Grant Bentley gets, after the rebound, pass to him. He hits the 3. They go on a 15-2 run finish. That's a Northmore squad that doesn't do that in the past few years. So without their best scorer, they're still able to go up against teams. And if Grant Bentley, I think, doesn't get hurt against Colonel Crawford, they're probably 3-1 right now instead of 2-2. Or they're 4-1 right now instead of 3-2. So Northmore, if they can continue to get some wins, we'll see them tomorrow night live in free against Mount Gilead. That's going to be a big game. But if they can get out of the conference schedule 3-0 before Jack Swinger gets back, that's going to be a team to watch for. And they're probably going to be, again, one of the favorites in that district. You know, tough loss in overtime last year in the district title, but they got a strong opportunity if they can keep playing.
Has Tech gotten over that yet, or is that still kind of haunting and hanging over them? The Patriot Prep game, is that?
We don't mention that in North
Did
Bloomfield Township.
I mess that up? Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to back into Richland County Division II. Another team I saw early on, Lexington, the girls. I saw them against Loudonville. Now, I just mentioned what Loudonville did and anything like that. But Lexington, I think, they're going to rebound. They're going to have a good season. You know, Makari Chapman has been just phenomenal so far this year. She's shooting 26% from 3. She's averaging 15.4 points. Cora Palmer in there as well. But Ava Brown, she's just now getting back. She was injured. It's one of their better players they have coming back. When she gets the full health with Makari playing, get some points out of Palmer, they'll have a pretty decent squad for Miss Stover there in her first full year of playing. But look out for Lexington, especially once this team gets more games in and everything towards the back end of the schedule. Maybe we'll see them compete and knock off a couple teams and have a decent seed in the tournament. But on the other side of things for Lexington, the boys squad, I mean, come on. What they have coming back, I mean, you were talking with Jake Furr here a little bit ago about it, but Braden Fogel comes in averaging 15 points per game. Seven Allen, the sophomore transfer from Madison, 10.7. He's averaging, well, he has 24 assists already. He's
just so fast.
It's that point guard that Lexington has lacked since they went to the Final Four.
And how about shout out Purple Haze? Because if you're playing in their building, even on the road, them boys travel.
Yeah. I mean, you saw them celebrating at Ashland. They took up half the crowd at Ashland there, and they went nuts for that game. One of the best student sections. Got a couple of our boys from the podcast over there, too. Rep. But and then you have Gavin Husty's averaging 9 points a game. Elijah Hudson, 10 points a game. Joe Caudill, 10 points per game. That's 4 or 5 players. Well, we'll move the average up. They have 5 players averaging double figures. This is a good team for Lexington. So the Lexington boys going up against, you know, the Shelby Whippets, I think that could be a district championship game there. But you never know. Mansfield Senior as well. And got a couple of other teams. Might I add a team from Willard as well, Mr. Mad Max Dawson.
Still undefeated.
That is going to be one of the best districts wherever it's played to watch some basketball. Hopefully, whatever gym it's at, it's going to be packed because that's going to be some high-quality hoops. 2 more teams for you, and I just mentioned them. First, we'll look at the Shelby Lady Whippets, a team I saw against Bellevue. They had a rough start in the first half against Bellevue, tried to bounce back, just couldn't get it done. But other than that, they are unbeaten since. They are 5-1 going in here. Led by Eve Schwemley, 13.8 points per game. Sophia Long, 7.8. Gundram with 6.8 and Charlie Neese 6.2. So they have that balance. Serena Ramsey also 5.8. So they have more of an offensive squad than maybe last year. They're getting it together, but their defense is really, really good. And if they want to drop the 10-0 run by Bellevue early on in that game, they're probably still undefeated, and people around the state are looking at them. But you should still look at this squad, the Lady Whippets out of Shelby. And then, just like Lexington, the boys squad. I mean, we talked about what Mr. Bruscotter did versus Colin White at that holiday game on Saturday, nearly knocked them off, and he was in foul trouble in that fourth quarter too. So if he isn't in foul trouble, they might knock them off and be undefeated still. But Shelby, Casey Lance as well, the squad they have, Shelby, another great team to watch, and like I just said, that district is going to be some phenomenal basketball. You probably, like last year, have a couple sectional final matchups that could be played in a district semifinal or a district final in other districts. But the Shelby Whippets, my final team. Great basketball in Richland County this year, Brian.
Absolutely, man. Shelby, though, one thing not going for them, you mentioned that they went on the road, played a really good Glandorf team, so not a victory Monday for the Whippets. You know who it's a victory Monday for, though, Trev? Not sure if you noticed, but it was Sunday Fun Day in Cleveland again
Nearly
yesterday.
the Hail Mary cut, but hey, you got that break. You keep getting the breaks this year, finally. Hey,
never any doubt.
Shout out for that.
Wasn't sweating it. Didn't need like an extra drippy drop of Grandpa's old cough medicine, none of that stuff. We knew it was coming the whole way. I'm just joking. Oh my gosh. How did they pull it out again? I don't understand, so that's why I got to ask one of the pros here. We got Lucas Wickiser hanging out with us now. Hey, my boy Luke. Tell me, yeah, that's right. Hey,
yeah,
baby.
Give it
up real fast for these brownies, man. I have no idea how we're 9-5. I saw a stat today, 27% of our total money that we spend on the team, they're on IR right now, okay? So it's more of a quarter than a quarter of a team. They're out. They can't even play. How we keep pulling off these games, brother? I can't figure it out.
Well, I think it's just, and I don't want to sound cliche, but I think it's just, they're believing in themselves. They truly are believing in the next man up mentality, and it's a little brownie magic, I guess, because even the best teams have to have some luck somewhere along the way. And like you were saying, the last play of the game, if Darnell Mooney holds onto the ball, we are having a completely different discussion right now, and none of us are happy. So, but hey, sometimes that's what happens, and sometimes teams finally get good bounces going their way, and we're getting seemingly all of them, man. I don't know what alternate universe we're in right now, but I don't want to go back to where I used to live.
No, let's stay here. I think everybody likes a good magic brownie, right, Lucas? So let's just keep taking these in every Sunday. We're enjoying the time right now, and if you have the patience of a high school teacher and then kind of like some heart medication, it's not that bad on Sunday, okay? Because the roller coaster, it's real. Joe Flacco all in one game. He showed kind of what made him not be in the league right there, just throwing it away to a guy. And then he also showed why he's Captain Comeback and really plays well in Brown Stadium. So what do you make of the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde output from Mr. Flacco yesterday?
Well, I obviously was really impressed with his fourth quarter because, and I know we would have probably dropped these numbers, but I'm going to do them right here since we're talking about it. He is I think the first Browns quarterback to throw for 212 plus yards. It was 212 yards. He went 11 of 13 in the fourth quarter. And that beautiful 51-yard bomb to Amari Cooper, which was great on both ends with Flacco and Cooper. Ryan Sipe, for as good as he was for the cardiac kids, not even he did something like that. So, but the one thing I will say that I'm concerned about, that I'm tempering my expectations just a little bit, was Tyvis Powell on the Browns postgame said, we've got to get this running game going, because if you've noticed, he's thrown 40-plus passes each of his last three starts, and that's great that he's making plays, but we've got to get the ground game going here or he's going to get tired.
Yeah, 18 carries, 29 yards, Lucas. So it's a little concerning with the Texans and the Jets on the way here. So obviously they got to pick that up. It's got to grow in that department to continue to make Joe Flacco the viable option that he is as the fourth starting quarterback of the year for them. But what you got to love about these Browns is that defensively up front, it's way more than just Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith. You start looking at the guys like Tomlinson and company getting in there, and they're making plays no matter who they're rotating in. They're bringing a lot of energy right now, Lucas, and I think that's a true key for us right now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I will say this, going into this Bears game, I was a little nervous because I think there were some fans on social media. If you guys remember the last time we played the Bears, Myles Garrett just feasted the last time. He had like 4 sacks that game. But coming into this one, I was like, Chicago's playing better, and we're still hurt, and we're kind of finding our way a little bit. But like you said, the defensive line sets the tone. Myles obviously leads the way. He's the leader on defense, but every single one of those guys stepped up on the defensive front, and they sacked Fields 3 times, which they should have had him probably 3 or 4 more times. He was extremely elusive. but they sacked him 3 times. I think they hit him 6 times. And as a defensive unit in general, the defense registered 11 tackles for loss. So,
because I certainly didn't see this coming. I was not a fan of the signing, and all of a sudden, I got that Flacco fever, baby. I don't know what it is, but it bit me. I can't get rid of it. I don't know if there's a medication for it, but if there is, I don't want it. I just want the wins to keep piling up, and I don't care if it is old Joey Flacco getting it done. Are you kind of stunned by what's transpired here this season with him coming in and, you know, really making us a playoff contender?
Oh, yeah. You know, I definitely am a little stunned because, you know, it wasn't that long ago he was torturing the Browns. I think they said, including Sunday's game, he's had 26 career game-winning drives. The problem is 9 of those game-winning drives came against the Browns when he was with the Ravens. So it definitely is weird rooting for him, but it's a heck of a lot easier rooting for him than another guy on the roster who's not going to be mentioned here. But yeah, I'm proud of what he's doing for us. He definitely is easy to root for. And I don't know what will happen, but if he led us to the Super Bowl and won his 2nd ring, oh, man, that man would never have to buy a beer in Cleveland again, and he'd have a statue. So, hey, let's keep it rolling.
Travis, as a Steelers fan, when you hear Browns and Super Bowl in the same sentence, how does that process?
Hasn't happened yet.
He's right.
I'm not like some of you Browns, because I'm just watching from the outside. I'm waiting for the floor to still drop out. Like me too, Travis. With that Hail Mary catch, but just keep winning. You keep winning.
Right.
Just one
right.
Game at a time.
And, you know, and I wasn't
take it one game at a time. And if something bad happens, you can't let it. You can't let it just domino effect into the next game. You need like one, maybe 2 wins to get into the postseason.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I wasn't going to say that, you know, I wasn't going the Super Bowl, Super Browns route somebody did a couple years ago. I don't think we're there yet, but for as crazy as this season is, I mean, it would not surprise me. It's just insane how this has gone. I cannot believe this. 9-5 going into Christmas.
I'll do it. Super Browns, Super Bowl. I've been preaching it all year. A lot of people, they didn't want to jump on the old ski bandwagon at the beginning of the season. I was like, we're just too deep. And I think that it's really proven now at this point in the year, because how many guys we got out? I mean, the offensive line, we've got like 18 different combinations that we've been throwing out there. Obviously, the quarterback. We see our top running back, the best player on the team, hasn't even been available since week 2. So whatever's going on, it feels like the sports gods, obviously, you know, they defecated on us for long enough, Lucas, and they felt bad about it. So that they're pulling us up out of the dung, and they're just like, hey, man, enjoy one good season, and maybe it could be a Joe Flacco happy ending that you could never see coming in the chapter at the end. But for now, we'll take what's going on. But so we knock off one Buckeye Heisman finalist quarterback on Sunday, and now we got another one coming up. We got to go to his place, though, C.J. Stroud. Outside of Cleveland, would you say that Houston's probably like the best feel-good story in the NFL? Nobody, and I mean nobody, thought the Texans were going to be worth a darn. And, dude, I think they're leading the AFC South right now. It's pretty unbelievable.
I think so. Yeah, it is definitely unbelievable. And, you know, I know we didn't really talk about the guys orchestrating both of these teams. I know we talked about Flacco and Stroud, but you got to give credit to both D'Amico Ryans and Kevin Stefanski. Those two have got to be 1 and 2 for Coach of the Year award right now. And Houston was 3-13-1 last year. And just to see what Stroud has done to lead this team out of that and into contention, and they're a dangerous team. You know, and if I don't want to say this, but if I had to pick a game that the Browns would lose over the final 3, that's probably the one. You know, the Browns have really struggled with athletic quarterbacks, and Stroud could be another problem. But Houston is definitely a feel-good story right next to the Browns. It's been an interesting year, and the Browns and Texans have got to be the 2 most exciting teams.
And as much criticism as we gave Kevin Stefanski early on in the season, it feels like he's kind of put himself maybe at the top of the heap for Coach of the Year, Lucas. I got to say that he's turned the corner a little bit, and he's curried a little bit of, you know, time, favor, whatever you want to say, like in my mind as a Browns fan. He's doing his thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm not gonna lie. There's been times where he's done stuff or made certain calls that, if I said stuff that I said on Sunday here, I would be kicked off the show. But he's definitely figured things out. He's kept his team together. I don't know what he's teaching. I mean, of course he's going next man up, but I don't know what he's saying or doing every single week in Berea. I would love to see it because these guys are buying in. It's not just something in the water. He's got these guys ready. He's got these guys playing like a playoff team, and it's just amazing. I've never seen a team so injured but still fighting as hard as the Browns are, and that makes me proud to be a Cleveland fan.
And how rare is that to say? At least about the Browns, obviously. But you see it, though. I watch all the post-game videos of Kevin Stefanski coming in, talking to the team after the win so far, and it just feels like it is one big family. Credit's given everywhere. Nobody's left out, and they all have an understanding that it does take the full 53 to get the job done, including the coaching staff. So right now, Browns, no matter who's in that locker room, they're all kind of buying in. And it's a wonderful time right now, obviously, to be a Browns fan, Lucas. But since it is the most wonderful time of year, and Monday Night Football, it's already kicked off. We're way over time, and we still got a long way to go here on the show. So I texted you earlier, so I already know your answer. But share with the fans who you feel like the best Christmas movie character is of all time. Who's number one in your book?
Well, I got to say number one in my book. If I was forced to pick one, it's definitely Kevin McAllister from the Home Alone movies. I mean, Macaulay Culkin. Yeah, Kevin! But no, Macaulay Culkin and Kevin McAllister. Kevin McAllister's number one in my book. And I love those Home Alone movies. Maybe it's something in the family because my grandfather, Don Wickiser, may rest in peace, but he loved the Home Alone movies. It just cracked him up. And but we're not going to have this other debate, but 1A is John McClane from Die Hard.
Yes,
that's
sir.
For me. So, yeah, get the call, get together, have a few laughs. But no, Macaulay Culkin and Kevin McAllister was number one for me. What about you, Brian?
Well, I'm about to get into my list here in a second, Lucas. So when you jump off the line, if you want to tune in, I got my top 5. Travis is about to unveil his, and I'm guessing that we're going to have at least some overlap. We're roughly the same age and come from the same era, but I have no idea. We've been keeping these a secret from one another. I will say this. No John McClane on my list. It is a Christmas movie. I'm all in. I love that he's a Browns fan. Didn't know that until today. But he's not making my top 5. That's the only thing I'm going to say for now.
Okay.
All right, well, that's Lucas Wickiser, writer from the Cleebus. Does a great job.
Guys.
If you want to read any of his articles, go to OH.Report right now. Click on the Cleebus, and everything you need to know from Cleveland Browns and Ohio State football, it's right there.
And before I go, I just want to say Merry Christmas to all our viewers on the OH Report, folks in Cary, folks in Mansfield, Ashland, everywhere. Merry Christmas to you all, and to all a good rest of the holiday season.
Thank you so much, Lucas. Look forward to talking to you again. It's not going to be till the new year, though. We're going to be off, obviously, for Christmas and then New Year's Day. But great insight, of course, as always, from Lucas.
Great man. Great hard worker.
But it's to the part of the show that I've actually been most interested in. Let's be honest. I mean, the sports stuff is what it is, but Christmas movies, everybody has an opinion on this stuff.
I've been watching them every day.
All-time characters. I'm starting to get into that spirit too now. I just feel like now that Christmas, like, it's knocking, it's on the doorstep. I'm starting to buy in, even watching a little bit of Lifetime during the day, and I'm not gonna lie, really? we got some Hallmark on, so I'm just trying to feel that fever. But as far as the best of the best, Trav, I'm gonna leave the floor open to you. Tell me about your favorite characters.
All right, let's start with number 5, and it is John McClane.
Oh.
Yes, it is a holiday movie. He saves Christmas for about 40 people at Nakatomi Plaza, except for rest in peace, Mr. Nakatomi. You know, he passed away in the movie. But John McClane, yes, actually, the second one also, it's Christmas time, but it's at the D.C. airport, so you could say both of them. But Mr. John McClane, I mean, he's busting through. He's throwing Hans Gruber off the top of Nakatomi Plaza by a watch, things like that. Great movie to watch during the holiday season. That is Mr. John McClane in Die Hard 1 and 2, I would say, for that. Now at number 4 is It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh.
George Bailey, one of the best characters. Just the way he went through the whole movie, his character arc, just phenomenal. What if what would the world be without me? And he realizes that he is a wanted person. He's wanted by everybody, not a wanted person by the police. But just such an awesome movie. They usually show it on NBC on Christmas Eve, and it just gets you in the mood. But George Bailey,
still haven't seen. Don't know George, but I'll get it. I'll get him
I'm
for
speechless
this Christmas season.
But George Bailey, every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. That's where it comes from. But such a great movie. And there is Kevin McAllister at number 3. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, the two goats of that series. Just what he's able to do, booby trap a house for 2 convicted felons that for some reason don't have weapons other than a crowbar. But hey, that's why they makes the movie so well.
They're the wet bandits, man.
The wet bandits.
They don't need it.
The sticky bandits in the second one too. But Kevin McAllister, gotta have him
all-timer
on the list. Shout out Lucas for getting 2 of my 5 in there as well. And that's a great aftershave. Who knew it burned so much?
Ooh, I can't even use it. I'm with him.
Yeah, right. At number 2, it's Ralphie. Now I have this split up because have you seen the new one, the new Christmas Story?
No, I have not.
It is very good, and it has some of the characters, but the first one, the Red Ryder BB gun. You've always had that one gift that you really wanted, and they're like, nah, you can't get it, and then in Christmas you open it up, you're like, oh, wow, they did get it for me. That's the whole story, and I mean, you own one of those suits, don't you, Brian?
I'm going to be suited up here in a few days in that bunny outfit. I can't wait.
Yeah. Game 7 of the World Series, we actually saw 4 people wearing that in there. And then the new one, too. So I was going to split this up into old Ralphie and new Ralphie, but I just kept it into one character. He comes back home. I'm not going to tell you the plot of it, but he comes back to the same house. That's the 2 characters that actually played his 2 friends, Flick and darn it, I forgot his name.
Pretty memorable.
Yeah, but he comes back home and tries to make the same Christmas that his dad does. It's an awesome flick that you need to watch. A Christmas Story Christmas just came out, so that's number 2. But my number 1, you knew this was coming.
We do it.
Clark W. Griswold III, Christmas Vacation. I watched this about 10 times between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Such a great movie. I mean, this singing the national anthem at the end is great. Blast sing, things like that. It's such a great movie to quote. Surprised, Eddie? If I woke up in the morning with my head sewn into the carpet, I wouldn't be as surprised as I am right now. So that's my list right there. Clark W. Griswold, standalone, number 1. Just the shenanigans he gets into. I mean, he drinks eggnog out of this. This is one of my best presents from one of my good friends. I love this thing. Christmas comes, drinking out of the Wally World mug. But take it away while I finish this off.
You can kick back, you can get your drink on, Trav, and as I presumed, we got some overlap coming here. So,
because we have good taste.
I'll dive into it, and I'll try to maybe give some fresher perspective on why I went with these. But at number 5, this is a newbie. I'm going with Ebenezer Scrooge, my guy, the protagonist from A Christmas Carol. And I think it's a true redemption story is what I like most about it. You know, a character so good that if anybody's stingy, you call him a Scrooge. Mm-hmm. He's been around for a long, long time. I think the original Christmas Carol is like 1800s or something. It's a very, very old tale. Invented the catchphrase, bah humbug. So there's a lot to like about it, and just the
great actors playing him too.
Absolutely, yeah. Look at the long lineage. 1843. But Ralphie Parker, come on, man. The main character in the Christmas Story. A kid, he overcomes the odds to get the Christmas gift that he really shouldn't get, but he really wants. He decodes the Orphan Annie mystery, gets the Pink Bunny blues. He wins a fight, then inevitably almost shoots his eye out at the end of the movie, as we all suspected would actually happen.
Thank goodness for glasses, right, guys?
Oh, amen to that. So Ralphie Parker at my number 4. Looks like we're sticking with Ralphie, though. Hey, admiring himself, yes. More cute kids at number 3. The 8-year-old boy who survives a burglar attack. Come on, man.
Kevin McAllister.
Home Alone at Christmas break, then has to do it all over again in the big bad New York City. And not just anybody can outwit the wet bandits, Trav. He uses those booby traps and his charm. He overcomes his fear of the basement and Old Man Marley, then gives back to Mr. Duncan at the toy shop. So I think every kid our age wanted to be Kevin McAllister growing up.
You don't explain. Number 2?
He's number 2, America's most reliable Christmas dad. Well, if you're from a dysfunctional family like I am.
I mean, who hasn't had one crazy Christmas story like this?
He's got so many great quotes, though. You said my favorite one about...
Surprised, Eddie?
Yeah, right. Take a look around, Ellen. We're on the threshold of hell. I love that one as well. Worse? Oh gosh, yeah, it's the only one that I have to watch. But The Grinch, my guy, I think he's the ultimate villain that you just can't help but love. You even root for him at the beginning of the movie before he's nice. He's got the best original soundtrack. James Earl Jones does it. I think the new soundtrack from the 2018 version, I listened to that. I don't even have to watch the movie.
Jim Carrey did The Grinch right.
I feel
he
like
played an amazing Grinch.
Dr. Seuss, shout out for getting it originally, but each remake, in my opinion, has gotten better and better and better to where I think the newest Grinch is my favorite version, the one that came out 5 years ago. So it's hard not. And then the dog, Max. I mean, not only is he lovable, but he's strong too. How does he pack all those gifts up to the top of Grinch Mountain? So just the
he don't skip leg day. It's why.
Of a guy who is a green creature that lives at the top of a hill and doesn't believe in Christmas, dude. It's the best story that there is.
Yeah, I do have a question about Kevin McAllister's dad. What's his job? How do they have the nice house? How is he able to spend so much money to send his family over to his brothers in Paris? Those flights, even back then, not cheap. Like, what is his job? No, but there's always these questions going around on the internet. Is he in the mob? Is he like the owner of a big firm? Like, what's he do? How is he able to have that much money?
And that many kids? That is unconfirmed. My research team says business mogul.
Business mogul. I mean, well,
you can fill in the blanks any way you want.
I don't know. Great movie, though. I mean, those are all awesome movies. And have you seen all those movies yet this year?
No. I watched the Jim Carrey Grinch. I've seen half of Christmas Vacation, but not the other ones. Not yet. Oh, actually, A Christmas Carol. I watched half of.
I watched the Muppet Christmas Carol, one of the great ones. I've watched Christmas Vacation 3 times. Saw Die Hard already. Saw Home Alone. I have to watch It's a Wonderful Life. I'll watch that on Christmas Eve. Yeah. And then I've seen the Christmas Story, the second one I've watched already. I'll see the other Christmas Story here this week, but there's so many. I'll watch The Grinch too. You have to watch The Grinch. I watched Rudolph, Frosty the Snowman I already watched, things like that. Yeah. It's awesome. Love Christmas.
Me too.
How can't you?
It's the happiest time of year. But Trav, Monday Night Football, Philly at Seattle.
For us.
Let's see. They're like well into the game. So
we're going to show you guys some statistics to see what we're doing. Geno Smith.
Is he playing?
He was active, but didn't start. For people with fantasy football implications in the playoffs, Eagles are already up 7-0. Fantasy football implications, yeah, Pete Carroll kind of screwed you. Because since
You're saying Pete Carroll doesn't care about our fantasy teams?
Well, he doesn't care about any much. He's Scrooge.
Wow, humbug.
He's Scrooge. But they activate him so you can't place him on an IR and open up a spot for his starting quarter for Drew Lock either. So you had to kind of waste a spot just to see, and yeah, so really tough what we have there. But let's go over some statistics. Who scored the touchdown? Jalen Hurts, 3-yard rush. Didn't you make a bet?
I made a bet that he would have 2 rushing touchdowns tonight. But I made a parlay bet this week, Trav, because Yinz Bets hasn't really been paying out the viewers like we had hoped. So I came up with what are we calling this? Parlay all the way. This is what we rolling with, folks. I took the under on that 45.5. Jalen Hurts also, his tummy's been hurting, not really feeling so well.
He's at 40 yards in one drive.
250 or less yards, I kind of hope. And obviously, with no Geno out there, Kenneth Walker, he should be able to tote the rock quite a bit. And the Philly, the first team to score 10 points, that's plus 850. I got my $10 in right there, so 95 probably going to be coming back my way at the end of the night.
All right, hit me with place Yinz Bets here, because that decision to not start Geno might hurt me because, well, I have DK Metcalf and Seattle, 2 touchdowns. Maybe they can walk into one of those. They're down big late, get a couple, so that's okay. Metcalf, 50 receiving yards. Drew Lock threw to him last week, and he was able to get, I think, 60 or something, so that's okay. Hurts, 25-plus rush yards. Eagles money line. A.J. Brown, 60-plus receiving yards and an anytime touchdown. That's plus 625, so 10 pays 72.50.
That seems reasonable. For some reason, mine has better odds, but I think
the A.J. Brown touchdown, was like plus 250. So the people in Vegas still thinking that without the anytime touchdown, it was going to be pretty much a given.
Yeah, I think the under is kind of a lock in this game. Philly to get the 10 first. I don't know. I'm definitely, I kind of like my plus 850 better than your plus 625 tonight.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Maybe both will hit. Who knows? It's raining in Seattle, too.
It's snowing out here. Can we take another look to see what's happening outside here tonight? Because the Christmas season is officially upon us. We got a winter wonderland here in Mansfield. And
yeah, hey, look, your wife doing some work.
Yeah, that's a rare sighting. Glad we got that on video. Very cool. Congratulations, Jory. Evidence that she earns those paychecks. Thank you for brushing off the sign. So if you drive by, you know exactly where we are here on 5th.
She only swept off one side, though.
She's about half an employee. Well, just playing. Love you, babe.
Merry Christmas, Jory.
Actually, I think she's heading home to make me dinner. So
that's good.
All love. All love. Well, hey, I do want to wish a Merry Christmas.
Absolutely, yes.
From my entire OH.Report family to yours out there. We had a glorious time hanging out in Cleveland on Saturday. It was a great time. All got together, had some great grub, some fabulous tacos. Appreciate you, Barrio. Went over to the Cavs game. Thanks to Donovan Mitchell and the boys.
Donovan Mitchell winning some money.
Jared Allen going 12 for 12 to start the game.
Yeah.
11 for 11. He couldn't miss.
He tied. Who's that guy that he tied or broke his record?
Someone pretty good. LeBron James, I think.
LeBron James.
We got a photo to show? Oh.
Look at that.
There we are. Well, yeah, this is going to be our last show here of 2023, so we appreciate each and every one of you out there.
Our last live stream, though. Our last live stream. We got a lot of live and free coming up the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, lots of basketball coming up for you guys. The game that I'm really excited that we locked in today, we've never done a game at River Valley High School before, but with our new relationship with Marion County now that begins January 2nd, we're going to get a little head start. We're going to give you a preview. River Valley Vikings pretty good this year. They got Shelby coming into town. We're going to have that one for you live and free on Thursday. It's going to be our only game of the night. We're going to have multi-cams. I'm going to be on the call along with Mark Bullinger, former coach over there. Pretty stoked for that one. What game are you most looking forward to this week?
I got a couple, but
Can I pick for you? Because I think this is easy.
Yeah.
But I know you got your Golden Knights, so.
I'm going to Cary, too. Carrie Crawford.
Cary, baby. Taking on Colonel Crawford. The winner of that game, that's a leg up.
We already had 1A for that when Cary knocked off Mohawk, another game we saw live and free.
Yep.
But then Crawford, how are people like, oh, Crawford's going to be down this year? Who's coaching? David how? I mean, come on, people. Really? You didn't think they're going to be in the mix? We'll for sure see if they're in the mix coming up this week when they play on Friday night at Cary. Myself and Abe Capel back on the call for the third time for him, I think.
Yeah.
Doing a good job, too, coming off the bench from Buckeye Central now into the booth. But, yeah, looking forward to the whole week, though. Every game's great. On the OH.Report.
Yeah, enjoy the whole week. Tune into as many live streams as you can, and just enjoy holiday break. If you're a kid out there that you're about to get it, fight through those midterms. There's a lot of fun and excitement on the other side, and definitely some presents, some joy. And then
I hope you get your BB gun.
Coming up soon. Just don't shoot your eye out. We'll see you a couple of weeks here on a Monday night.
Happy holidays, y'all.
Deuces!